Assalamu alaikum, family. It's your brother Landon X. This is Nation Town TV. Dear family, as you can see by the title, we are going to touch on an interesting topic. Very interesting. I want to first and foremost open up in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. I bear witness that there is no God, not one, but Allah, who mercifully intervened in our affairs in the person of Master W. Fard Muhammad, to whom praises are due forever. I further bear witness that Muhammad is his messenger, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, to be right and exact and down to these modern times. And lastly, I bear witness that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is indeed our divine teacher and our torchlight in this dark hour. And in those three great names, I greet the Nation Town TV family in the words of peace. We say it in the Arabic language of Assalamu alaikum. Shout out to everybody chiming in. I see you, Brother Hakeem. All praise is due to Allah. Dear family, I'm about to go into a study group class, but I had to check in just for a minute. It's been a while. I was on daddy duty last week, and I tried to tap in with the Nation Town family. Wasn't able to. I had bigger fish to fry with my daughter, but it's been a while. So I was like, man, I gotta start touching bases with the Nation Town TV family, and we got to deal with the J. Cole apology. The J. Cole apology, man, it's a historic moment in the culture. But I'm not talking about that particular J. Cole. I'm talking about my J. Cole apology. I want to apologize to all of the Nation Town TV family for just not being consistent. But despite not being consistent with new Nation Town TV live broadcasts like this one right here, man, do you know that we added almost 1,000 new subscribers over the last year with hardly any new fresh content? So, man, I just want to thank all of those who, I don't know, I guess you was just perusing YouTube, came up on some of our past videos when we were knocking them out every week. And I just want to thank y'all for latching on and showing love. I'm getting emails and messages every week asking about, man, when you gonna do this kind of show again, that kind of show. So I gotta do my own J. Cole apology. I gotta apologize to the Nation Town TV family, the old school Nation Town TV family, the day one Nation Town TV family, and the new ones who latched on, man, and they came on and they, with no coercion. I didn't have to go chasing them. I had to go find them. They just jumped on their own volition. So shout out to everybody who is watching and will watch. And I thank y'all for y'all continued support. And this is, of course, Nation Town TV Live, brought to you by NationTownStore.com. Hey, listen, Nation Town TV is about setting up a platform that feeds an economy and an economy that feeds the message. So they work in tandem. So the main point of me doing this is not to be seen of men. I'm actually kind of stretched thin, but I do this so we can build up our own economy, build up our own resources. NationTownStore.com. You know, in Nation Town Store, we have all black owned, all nation owned products. Go ahead and support that as soon as you get the chance. But back to my J. Cole apology. Because, I've been doing this like every 6 or 7 months over the last couple of years because your brother's been busy. Now that's not an excuse. Because I don't think, because like right now, I'm only going to be on for a few minutes. And that's what I'm saying. I should be able to jump on, touch bases with y'all, show love, get a little bit of love back, give my opinion that you didn't ask for, but I know you want, about something that's going on in the world from the perspective of the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. I miss doing that on Nation Town because it's a little bit different. So what has your brother been doing? What have I just been sitting around on my shoulders, man, playing PlayStation? No, sir. No, ma'am. I've been working. I've been busy. I've been in the field doing what I've always done for Muhammad, getting amongst our people. This is the best work and the most rewarding work. Man, even feeding our people, even being able to give a weighty word and teach from college campuses to, man, correctional facilities, you know what I mean, from our mosque meetings, even in living rooms, man, and just getting out there, just doing the work, just like Master W. Fard Muhammad did, and just like every believer in the Nation of Islam is implored to do. And most of all, my biggest responsibility is, of course, looking out for my little family. All praises due to Allah. For those of you that remember my Nation Town TV OGs, when we started this, man, me and my wife were newlyweds. We were, it was just us, So now, a little bit more responsibility, but that's not an excuse. 23 hours, 56 minutes, 46 seconds in a day. So, it might be a Friday, it might be a Wednesday, it might be a Wednesday and a Friday, it might be in the morning, it might be at night. But whenever I got something that I want to share with the Nation Town TV family, I will do it. It's therapeutic for me, man. Just, you know what I mean? This is how I stay sane. But this wasn't your typical Nation Town TV, rigmarole. We are gonna touch on something in hip hop culture that happened the last couple of weeks. Y'all know Nation Town TV. We don't like the ambulance chase on current events. Meaning, y'all know I'm not gonna rush to YouTube or Facebook or Instagram and give my opinion about something that just happened 15 minutes ago. And we're gonna touch on the reason why, in a moment. But I'm not that guy who wants to, be the first to say anything about something. And honestly, that's against the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. But this particular thing, this particular issue, and hip hop and the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad are connected at the hip. Hip hop was especially instrumental in helping the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan rebuild the Nation of Islam, as far as connecting with the youth. And he didn't do it by pandering to the hip hop community. The hip hop community just kind of magnetically gravitated toward the minister. You never saw the minister in the 80s with his hat turned to the back, dressed like Public Enemy, trying to, no. The community, the hip hop culture just gravitated toward the Nation of Islam. So when this situation happened, and for, those who are not connected to what's going on in hip hop today, basically J. Cole, one of the most prolific and talented and introspective artists in hip hop today, and definitely one of the more positive artists, found himself embroiled in what we call in hip hop a rap beef with our brother from out here in Los Angeles, Compton to be exact, brother Kendrick Lamar. Kendrick Lamar, as he did several years ago on a track called Control, he was featured on the track. And on that track, he used that as an opportunity to throw shots at J. Cole and Drake over a song they did called First Person Shooter. Many of you already know how this goes down. But I got Nation Town TV, man. We range from 80-year-olds to 18-year-olds. So I got to break it down. So in typical hip hop fashion, it's like a competition. You somebody throw you out there, somebody challenge you, you answer the challenge. But up until this point, J. Cole and Kendrick Lamar have always been considered, two peas in a pod, kind of based on they in similar lanes. They two of the best artists in the game now, and that's why I'm not one of the hip. I'm born and raised with hip hop. I don't even know life without hip hop, and I respect that terminology, hip hop. So I don't throw that name on anybody. Like, you have people say hip hop is dead. And when you ask them, okay, why is hip hop dead? The first thing, what blows my mind, the first thing they're going to start saying, and the first artist they're going to start mentioning are artists who, in my opinion, are not hip hop. So how is hip hop dead, but you judging it off of people who don't even consider themselves hip hop? That never made sense to me. So when I think hip hop, I think of the best that's in the game. And one thing I love about just the culture today that wasn't the case, you know, 10, 15, even 20 years ago, is that hip hop has genres now. It has lanes. And with the technology and streaming, let's say you don't like the Migos, which is a rap group. You don't like them. Okay. Well, this is 2024. You got three or four major streaming services. And on these streaming services, you can listen to anything from Nat King Cole to J. Cole whenever you feel like it. I'm just old enough to remember that if I wanted to listen to Nat King Cole, then I was going to have to dig into the crates, pull out a Nat King Cole record, find a record player, play that thing on there. And if I wanted to play J. Cole, I had to go find a J. Cole CD, find a CD player. But it's 2024. You ain't got to do that. So my question to those who are always so disparaging about hip hop today, why are you listening to it? Oh man, I like good old school KRS-One. Okay, you can listen to KRS-One. You can listen to Rakim. You can listen to Eric B and Rocky. You can listen to all of that. You can listen to it like it just came out yesterday. In fact, a lot of these old school rappers that people say they respect so much, a lot of these brothers are still dropping new music. But instead of pumping up what they putting out, instead of going to their shows, they still traveling, they still touring. Instead of pumping up their tour dates, we sitting around talking about what Cardi B is talking about, or Sexy Red is talking about. It makes me wonder: is hip hop dead, or are hip hop fans dead? But anyway, I ain't going down that wormhole. Not today. Maybe next week. But so after this beef pop, this competition, I call it competition. You know, where I'm from, beef. You know, I kind of subscribe to the definition of beef that Notorious B.I.G. described on his Life After Death album, where he said, "What's beef? Beef is when your fam ain't safe up in the streets. That's beef to me. When you got to be careful coming outside. That's beef. But this is kind of like a competition between three artists. I'm not a big Drake fan. It is what it is. But these two right here, definitely, two of the best. And another thing that kind of flies in the face of people who say that hip hop is dead, and then they use the Cardi B's and the Megan the Stallions and the Sexy Reds as examples. But in reality, some of the most positive artists in the game right now are actually the best selling. I couldn't say that in 1992. I couldn't say that in 19. I couldn't say that Goody Mob as powerful and as introspective as they were, that they were outselling Bone Thugs and Harmony, who was a gangster group, or 3 6 Mafia. I couldn't say that. But now the top selling artists, the biggest artists in the game, are artists like J. Cole and Kendrick Lamar, who are some of the most introspective. But anyway, so they going at it. And so J. Cole, his camp, people around him, and this is how it starts. Because like I said, in a minute, I'm going to tie this up with the teachers of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. And then we're going to get up out of here. He's hearing from, people in the industry, friends. Oh man, you heard what K Dot said? Oh man. So all of a sudden, because everybody was expecting J. Cole to be working on an album that's kind of turning into the new Detox. If people in hip hop know what I'm talking about when I say Detox. That's that mystery Dr. Dre album that will never come out. His next album is supposed to be this album called The Fall Off, and he didn't drop since announcing that album. He didn't drop like 2 or 3 albums since then. But anyway, he drops a surprise album titled I Might Delete Later, which is a new aspect of hip hop nowadays in the streaming era, where an album can drop 1 week and then an artist can go back and remix or change some things on the album because everything is through streaming. So that's a literal meaning when he says I might delete later, because they can literally just go in there and delete. Back in the day, once that CD was shipped to the stores or that tape was shipped to the stores, that mess was out there. There wasn't nothing you could do. But it's called Might Delete Later, and on the song, there's a song I believe called 7 Minute Drill. And J. Cole, he fires back with just as much vitriol as Kendrick Lamar. It was a little personal, a little jabs at each other's discography and their catalog, how many really good albums they put out, and kind of gave me Jay-Z versus Nas vibes. But then I want to say 48 hours later, J. Cole apologizes and said, it's been disturbing my soul. I love Kendrick Lamar. I ain't got no sleep. This ain't my style. This ain't who I am. This ain't my kind of thing. And being the kind of society that we are, we a train wreck. We're a train wreck, car wreck kind of society. If you ever been driving on the highway in any city and there's a car accident up the road, you can tell because the traffic is going real slow. But once you get up to the car wreck, you start to realize it's not going slow because the wreckage is really in that much of the way. It's really slowing down traffic because people are slowing down to see the wreckage, not to hop out and help, not to hop out and help, but to just say, oh man, that's messed up. Man, thank God it ain't me. And then still looking, driving 8 miles per hour. That's the kind of society we love to see. We love to see conflict. We don't want to see brotherhood. We don't want to see unity. That's boring. Miss me with that. I want conflict because we grow up around conflict. We turn on the news, we see conflict between nations. We got a lot of conflict in our households. We got a lot of conflict in our own personal relationships, our friendships. We don't think a friend is a friend unless we arguing with them every day. We don't think a husband is a husband or a wife is a wife or a girlfriend is a girlfriend or a boyfriend is a boyfriend if we're not arguing and going through drama every day. So we are very drama impacted society. So a lot of people was like, oh man, J. Cole, you punked out. You soft. Man, Dre would have never did this with Eazy-E. Nas would have never did this with Jay-Z. KRS-One would have never did this with MC Shan. Man, LL Cool J would have never did this with Cool Boy. Oh man, Pac would have never did this with Biggie. But what I find interesting is, and I'm gonna close with this because, like I said, I'm gonna get up out of here. What I find interesting is a lot of the people I follow and a lot of the people that follow me on all the different social media pages and whatnot, are somewhat conscious. A lot of them, many of them in the Nation of Islam and other schools of thought. And we always talk in this thing about unity. We always talk about settling our differences. But then we see somebody like J. Cole and Kendrick Lamar, and we pride and we want to see them crash out. We want to see them go at each other. We want to see them fight. We want to see them, mean mugging each other in public. Meanwhile, it's the same Jew or Jews that's getting paid off of both of them. And they all belong to the same country clubs and meet up at the same synagogues, at the same bar mitzvahs. Now, I'm not confused if someone who does not have knowledge of self, knowledge of God, knowledge of the devil, what to do these kind of things. But for us who act like we know better, for us to deviate in such a way where we want to see a very wise young man like J. Cole, a very wise young man like Kendrick Lamar, crash out, so to speak. And something I wanted to remind you about this brother, J. Cole, is first of all, J. Cole, if you don't know, he's not a fool. He's not a fool. And what I respect about the brother is that he's always kind of moved with his own energy and in his own lane. He never tried to be, a gangster. He never tried to be the dude. He's worth 9 figures now, I believe. Upwards of $100 million. But you'll see him on a video riding a bicycle with a sweatsuit that he looked like he got from 1996. You see how he's dressed right there. He's not that guy who's going to tell you that he was running through women. He's not that guy that's going to. He's just not. He's made a career. Very few artists can say that they sold more music and sold out more shows and made more money in the last 10 to 15 years in hip hop than J. Cole. Very few. You know, the backpacker era is over. See, that's what I'm saying. See, back in the '90s, rappers like J. Cole would be happy if they could sell 3, 4, 500,000 copies, and they would be considered a backpacker rapper. And they'd be sitting around hating on the Biggies and the Pops who rapping about Cristal and Versace. But the beautiful thing about 2024 is that a backpacker rapper today can be the top selling artist. See, that's a positive thing about hip hop today that we don't talk about. But you talking about the same J. Cole that I myself with my own eyes saw at 10/10/15. This is 10/10/15, the 20th anniversary of the Million Man March. Look how he's dressed. He didn't come with no big entourage and, a bunch of people around him. He blended right into the crowd. I was maybe 5 feet from him, and I looked up. I said, "Oh snap! Look, it's J. Cole." You know, and this is a brother who, on this album, might delete later. One of the lyrics that he says is that I only listen to Minister Farrakhan. That's his words, not mine. On this album, that same album, might delete later. He said, I only listen to Minister Farrakhan, meaning I ain't tripping off none of these talking heads, none of these podcasts. I only listen to Minister Farrakhan. You can see the joy in his face right here. So it got me to thinking, is J. Cole moving on the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad better than some of us who say we respect the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad or the guidance of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan? You know, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad did say that my best followers are yet still in the streets. And I say that because what J. Cole did is essentially the process that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan coined for the Million Man March, which is atonement. He got on stage in his Dreamville concert tour. Everybody wanted to hear him get up there and say something else. Y'all remember when the Nas Jay-Z thing was going on? You know, some of y'all remember when Pac and Biggie was going at it. Every time they got a microphone in their face or a camera in their face, they were saying something about each other. So everybody's waiting on J. Cole to say something negative. He gets up there and he uses that grand stage, 20,000 people in the arena. Everybody waiting to see what he gonna say about Kendrick Lamar. And he gets up there and he atones by saying, this ain't even me. This ain't even how I get down. Something to think about. Something to think about with J. Cole. And then in the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, he gifted the believers something back in the day called the proper handling of people. And in the proper handling of people, he urged us to do something that I bear witness is one of the most brilliant, anti-conflict maneuvers that a grown person who really believe in unity, really believe in peace amongst their own people can do. And we should also practice this even when we talking to an enemy. And that is, he says, think 5 times or more before you speak. See, that's what J. Cole didn't do. But since he didn't do it, he backed it up with atonement. And then in the Nation of Islam, we have a restrictive law. I always tell, believers, newer believers, even believers been around forever, we got a pack of 38. No, I don't mean a 38 revolver. I don't mean no gun. No. I didn't even say what kind of 38. If you want to think 38, well, that just means where your head is at. We got a pack of 38 because in the Nation of Islam, we got 16 restrictive laws, 10 guided rules of conduct, and 12 general orders. That adds up to 38, I think. And in that restrictive law, the 15th of those restrictive laws is that slack talk and gossip is forbidden. Slack talk, what is slack talk? Some of us have the belief That slack talk is when I lie about my brother, or if I say something that's not based on truth, or it's, no, 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 no. Slack talk is just talking about a brother when he's not there. And if you want to get technical in hip hop, almost every diss track that's ever been recorded was slack talk. Because I guarantee you the artist that they were dissing was not in the studio. They were not in the booth with them. They were not standing right next to them. And a lot of times the feelings that they have toward that person was not communicated before the diss track was produced and distributed. A lot of times, if you go back and watch the Straight Outta Compton movie with Ice Cube, one of the most interesting scenes in that movie that I think every black person should really examine, especially every black person, everybody and their mama trying to make a mixtape. If you want to be in the music industry, and even if you're not in the music industry, black people in general, pay attention to the scene in Straight Outta Compton when Ice Cube on the movie being portrayed by his son, O'Shea Jr. They're having a meeting after Ice Cube left the group. They're having a meeting at Priority Records. And if you remember, Priority was not only working with Ice Cube as a solo artist, but also NWA. And they meet with this Jewish white boy. And Ice Cube is just there to meet about, all the plans that he had. He want to do movies. He want to do more music. He want to collaborate with Public Enemy. This is all around the America's Most Wanted era, for those that know. And in the middle of this conversation, he's sitting there with Ice Cube right here with his wife, Kim. And in the middle of the conversation, the white boy just says, "Oh, by the way, have you heard this?" And he pulls out a tape or a CD and he slides it over to Ice Cube. No, he puts it in a little player and plays it. Unsolicited. Ice Cube didn't ask him about none of that. He talking about his own career. But he said, "Oh, have you heard this?" And he plays a song from NWA that's dissing Ice Cube. And that charges Ice Cube up, puts a battery in his back, and he goes and he records arguably the best and most devastating diss track in the history of hip hop, which is No Vaseline. But look how there was this element, this third party element between them. They already had their issues and they had went their separate ways. Ice Cube in the 90s, he couldn't miss. Everything he put out went platinum. NWA couldn't miss. They was doing their thing. Dre was doing his thing. Eazy doing his thing. MC Ren. They just went their separate ways, but it was this devil in between them because they were both affiliated with the same distributor. So they knew they was going to make money over this. They didn't care how many personal relationships they destroyed. They just wanted to drive this wedge so they can make money. And he gave him that CD, played it for him, and that put a battery in Ice Cube's back, and the rest is history. And those who've been following hip hop, that since then Ice Cube, has buried the hatchet with Dr. Dre and other members of NWA. In fact, him and Dr. Dre co-produced that movie. So we can't say that we respect the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, that we respect the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, but we're not willing to listen to what they taught us and follow what they taught us. They are not R&B singers. They are not rappers. They are not NBA players. They are not entertainers. Just saying oh man, that's my guy. I like to hear him talk. But you ain't moving out on what they talking about. Then we ain't really with that. And I gotta give it to J. Cole. I got hip hop related opinions on what he did, but then I got black man related opinions, and my black man opinions and black man uh, uh, vantage point is gonna always trump hip hop fan. Because I would have wanted to see them go back and forth, just for the lyrical content, But at the same time, man, I'm a grown man now. It hit different. You know, they throwing trash in the well that I'm trying to get a drink out of. If these two of the smartest, most positive artists in the game going at each other's neck, and I'm out here in the streets telling gangbangers that they need to forgive and forget 10, 20, 30 years of gang wars, and Inglewood Cemetery is filled with the casualties of those wars. There's brothers pushing around in wheelchairs now because of that war. But I'm telling them, oh no, brother, bury the hatchet, keep the brotherhood. It's unity more powerful than. But then I'm bobbing my head to a rap beef between two intelligent rappers. They got a word for that. It's called contradiction and it's called hypocrisy. So I salute J. Cole. I ain't mad at Kendrick Lamar. He did what he did. Both of them have received counsel from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. But right now, only one of them is moving like it. So we got to start. This is the time of fulfillment. This ain't the time of just prophesy. We got to fulfill. We got to live this thing that we say that we believe in. So with that said, dear family, it's my J. Cole apology and J. Cole's apology. And that is, man, Nation Town TV, your brother is back. I'm going to be touching down, as often as I possibly can. If you happen to be in the LA area, come and show love to your brother. I am going to be also teaching uh, here in Los Angeles this Sunday by the grace of Almighty God, Allah, dealing with this topic, the three sciences that were never taught to the slave: war, business, and mating. 11 o'clock this Sunday, 8039 South Lamont, South Central Los Angeles. Pull up if you can. I would love you to be my guest, and I will provide free nationtownstore.com gifts. So with that said, dear family, I want to thank you all for giving me your time. Your time is one thing that's more important than money, because once you give somebody your time, you can never get it back. I'm your brother, Brother Landon X, Nation Town TV. Assalamu alaikum.